Bonjour ma petite chiflée, Amber here, and I am finally sitting down to record my end of year sort of like recap videos for my reading year. By now you should have seen my revisiting my TBR's video where I looked back on the books I said I was going to read at the end of last year for this year. Right now though, we need to discuss the actual books that I did read this year. Specifically the books that were not what I was hoping they'd be this year. Yes, that means we are finally sitting down to record my most disappointing reads of 2021 video. I have been both anticipating and dreading this video. Dreading because it means I have to get up to film it, but I am setting myself to a very strict time limit. I'm not going to babble too much, or I'm going to really try hard not to, so which means we're going to dive right in. These aren't really in any particular order. Usually how I do it is they're not in any particular order until like the top 2 or 3. So that's the same case here. I did not have the energy to dig the books themselves out. Actually, a few of them are actually out, and to hold them up, so I'm just going to insert the covers here. I think I say this every single year. Anyway, let's go. Oh god, there are 2 by the same author on this list. Got my handy dandy reading journal with my, I was about to show you the list, the drawings themselves, but that would spoil the list, so I'll show you when I'm done. The first book on this list, I hate that this is on this list. I think it's like the most recent read on this whole list and just made the cut. It's not a worst read, it's definitely a disappointing read. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and it is When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. I went into this expecting reckoning of some sort. This follows our main character where she is brought back to her hometown for her former best friend's plantation wedding, and basically the spirits of the enslaved make their presence known in ways. It's pitched as a horror. I guess it is a horror because a lot of horrific things take place in the book itself. I have a hard time classifying it as a horror because the horrific things it's just depicting and telling us things that actually happened throughout in history during slavery. I thought the book was interesting for the most part. I didn't hate the book at all. I wish that it hit some different marks or spoke on some other. I wish with a title like When the Reckoning Comes there was some actual, I could say, the reckoning I was anticipating, you know. I also didn't really care about any of the characters. Okay, let's move on. So next, I had a hard time putting on this list actually. I went back and forth a really long time, and it's A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kimmerer, which is the conclusion of the Cursebreakers trilogy, A Curse So Dark and Lonely, Heart So Fierce and Broken, A Vow So Bold and Deadly. Now, this is difficult to put on this list because A Curse So Dark and Lonely, I love that book. I love retellings. I don't have to say this every time I talk about a retelling, but I will. It's Beauty and the Beast retelling. I love Beauty and the Beast. I really enjoyed that book. I really enjoyed the characters. I've been on the street team for the last 2 books. I'm sorry if you can hear my neighbors arguing. Loved the first book, like I said. Enjoyed, for the most part, the second book. But for a conclusion of a series, it was lacking, I'll say. I don't know, I felt I left the book with just a feeling of, and for a conclusion of a series, especially a series I loved, that didn't feel right to me. Some of the character arcs or characters I had loved didn't close satisfactory for me. So, you know what? Especially when I had read some other conclusions to favorites that just felt right between early this year, end of last year, because I read this pretty early in the year. I feel like it just should have hit me a little harder. I also feel like I feel like the ending was a little too easy for me personally. Next one, truthfully, could have been higher, should have been higher on this list. This should have been, you know, I'm gonna hold it. The next two are romance books. The first one is Real Men Knit. This whole building's so loud. The first one is Real Men Knit by Quanah Jackson, which follows the main characters trying to save the main male characters. Follows his mother's knitting shop after she dies. And that premise, I was like, hot man knitting, please sign me up, because it follows him and his three other adopted brothers. And it just didn't, I don't know, it was fine. I read it, I love the cover. Their romance just I didn't really buy it too much, honestly. Yeah, okay, yes. The characters had absolutely no chemistry with each other. This says, I'm supposed to believe they've been pining after each other for years, but it doesn't feel like they know each other at all, much less care about each other. And then the dialogue. Then the dialogue, Jesus be offense. I think that is self-explanatory. And I hate that. I hate that because I wanted it to be everything. So the next one, I don't even want to talk about this, honestly. It hurts that this is on this list because I have loved everything else I've read from this series and its predecessor. And it's, what is this called? How to Find a Princess by Alyssa Cole. Talk about Jesus be offense. Okay, so this is the second book in the Runaway, I can't say the word, the Runaway Royals series, which is the spin-off series of the Reluctant Royal series. This follows characters whose names I don't remember. Anyway, so this is supposed to be like a, I'm trying to find, I don't remember when I read it, God. It's supposed to be a, like, sapphic, Anastasia-esque scenario. Lost princess, not bodyguard, but like agent for whatever royalty, something or other. Oh, I found it. Trying to get her back to her throne and whatnot. And I'm just really sad that I didn't love this book. I've loved every other book in these two series. Like Alyssa Cole, I love her writing. I'm currently trying to work through all of her works, not just these two series, but like the ones before this. It's another one I wanted to be absolutely everything, but it felt so flat and disconnected. It felt disconnected from the rest of the books. Like, I know it's technically a standalone, but I was expecting, as with the Reluctant Royals, that despite it being a standalone, you could tell they were all part of the same world, all part of the same word just left in my head, but like they still fit together because all of the characters are kind of in the same circle, so to speak. And the spin-off, the first one, How to Catch a Queen, is that what it's called, with Shanti and Sanyu, that one you can tell is like a branch off. It's connected to the previous series. So I was expecting, so you can see the pillow I'm leaning on, my back has been killing me lately. I was expecting some sort of like real tie-in to the first book, not just that we met this character for 2 seconds in the first, or one, like the main character for 2 seconds in that book. Okay, so the next one is another conclusion of a series, and it's Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. I don't really think I have to talk too much about Ruin and Rising. I finished the Grisha trilogy earlier this year in preparation for the show. Loved the show so much. Yeah, I just wasn't here for Ruin and Rising, especially because, you know, book one, Shadow and Bone, was, you know, it was fine. It was a standard 2012 YA book. Siege and Storm I had no problem with. I actually I enjoyed that one the most of the trilogy, actually. You know, there's more action, more peril. We meet Nikolai, who I love, but I don't think I have to really go into my feelings about Ruin and Rising. I just hated the ending. I don't know, I still, despite Archie Renault being adorable and lovable and a great show Mal, book Mal can still choke. I'm not Team Darkling either. I'm Team Ben Barnes. Okay, so the book I skipped earlier and then have bumped up. Now we're into the top 3. Bastet's Legacy by Jamila Mills. I DNF'd this book. I picked this book up. I bought this book specifically for my Comfort Films Chooses My TBR video. The Mummy Chooses My TBR video. I wanted a book that dealt with, that talked about or involved, that's the word I'm looking for, Egyptian mythology. Is specifically written by like a black author, but also I was kind of taking on or incorporating the Mummy Returns. Ooh, the fact that the whole reincarnation aspect. This isn't reincarnation, but she is a descendant of an Egyptian goddess, and it being a cat goddess also piqued my interest, especially because my mom has nicknamed me the cat goddess. Anyway, but I got like 100 pages in, and the writing is just not good. It is just not good. This, if I were doing, it's not just disappointing, it's bad, and I feel bad. I believe this is an indie or self-published author. I don't really know. I specifically feel bad because when I was reading the book, before I had like stopped reading or realized I didn't like it, I had posted it back when I was in Alaska, and the author like DM'd me and was like, message me to let me know what you think when you're finished. I'm like, yeah. Actually, I don't think I ever replied to her. It kind of kept going in circles. Basically, she finds out her ancestry and keeps bringing it up every 3 seconds, like in the same way. We weren't getting anywhere. Also, the writing was bad, and like scenes took way too long to move on. It was a disaster, and I hate saying that so much. Oh, I'm upset. Okay, so the top 2, the 2 that take the cake, the 2 I probably should have DNF'd but didn't, are by the same author actually, which I guess good thing confirmed that this author just isn't for me. The first one is The Crown's Fate by Evelyn Skye, which is the sequel to The Crown's Game. And if you are not new to my channel, you already know The Crown's Game is not a book I enjoy. I think it was made a worst reads of the year that I read it, but I had the second book, so I wanted to finish the duology. And you know, I don't always make the best choices. I will say The Crown's Game absolutely did not need a sequel. I know at the end of The Crown's Game I said that the way it ended, I was intrigued enough to go into another book. I was wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. I absolutely hate what Evelyn did to Nikolai's character. He was like the only character in book 1 that I vaguely cared about, and that was destroyed in book 2. That being said, that sentiment did shift to Pasha, but the characters were still absolutely flat and like unlikable. There was too much of nothing going on, and the ending was pointless, and there was like no real resolutions. There were no real resolutions. Everything was just nipped in a pretty little bud, and I hate it here. So, and then I moved on to Evelyn's next series, and then my top absolutely most disappointing book of the whole year. I guess it can't be disappointing if I didn't go into it hoping. but it's Circle of Shadows. Oh my Jesus, by Evelyn Sky. And I read this when back in June, July maybe. I was for my not July, when did I read this? For my Giving Disappointing Authors a Second Chance vlog. Sweet Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna read like I did for Real Men Knit. It says, "Sweet Jesus God, this book has drained something from my spirit. I was literally crawling to that ending at page 405 with 45 pages left. I wanted to DNF. I really should have. The writing was juvenile. I couldn't care less about the characters, and the villain was bland. Also, Damon's plot twist and I'm not gonna spoil that. And it says, I will not be reading book 2, and that's bad. Usually I'll read a book that like is a letdown or disappointment. I'm like, well, maybe I'll read book 2. It's kind of interesting enough. I want to see where it's going. I don't care. I don't want it. I don't need it in my life. I'm going to, that's what we call self-care. I refuse, actually. Yeah. I left that book feeling that I needed to apologize to the Crowns game because I've dragged that book through the mud. I just didn't know it could get worse. Ooh. Also, I talked about this in my reading vlog, so go watch that if you haven't. But I was under the impression that this was like an Asian-inspired world, but it's still very whitewashed, is the summary of what I'll say. I go into more detail in the vlog, so make sure to go actually watch that. Anywho, those, my dear friends, are the, how many books was this? 2, 4, 6, 8 most disappointing books that I read in 2021. This list was actually kind of hard to gather because it's been a strange reading year for me. I started off really strong. I was just throwing out 5 stars left and right, but then I guess I kind of fell into like a mental slump, so I kind of find myself like floating through a lot of my reads. Either that or the reads I was reading were kind of mediocre. So finding my top favorite books of the year was hard, but finding books that I didn't just feel about, but like felt enough to know that like please get it away from me, was kind of tough. There it is. I would like to never see some of these books again. Let me know down below what your most disappointing read of 2021 was, unless it was one of my favorite reads of 2021. Keep that to yourself. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here and listening to me rant and rave about books. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like me, feel free to subscribe. All my places are down below so you can follow me, and I'll follow you back, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!